What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin back to talk a little Packers this evening. Gents, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How about you, Tim?
I'm doing great other than being muted. But it's a great day. Jay Money's back at practice. All is well in the world. We're coming off a dub. It's a great day to be a Packer fan.
Amen to that. We're going to hit on all the injury updates, and I've got a bunch of footage from Twitter of Jordan at practice so we can dissect it. Was there a limp? Was there not a limp? You know what I mean? So we'll see. Not that kind of limp. Y'all calm down. We'll see what's going on there. And honestly, I'm kind of expecting him to play unless he has a setback. But we'll get into it. First things first, man. A little advertising there. I like it. Let's get to the injury report. Y'all good with that?
Yes.
All right. So let's start with the most important thing here. Jordan Love listed on the injury report as limited participation today. Now, we heard all the reports all week long, some of it smoke screens, some of it might not have been, that Jordan was real close to playing last week. The main one came from Rob Domofsky. He seemed to be the one that said he had a source in the building that was not a charade, that Jordan was very close to playing. If you listen to this podcast, you guys know we were kind of leaning towards that. I know other people were leaning pretty far away from it. But the fact that he didn't go on IR, that obviously tells you, okay, he's not going to be out for 4 weeks unless he has a crazy setback. And then the fact that they listed him as questionable up until, what was it, Friday, Saturday, I think it was, Tim? And then all of a sudden –
Friday, yeah.
So that kind of shows you they were giving him every opportunity. And now, of course, today he's back at practice. Listen, if there was any chance of him re-injuring that knee, they wouldn't have him out on that practice field. There's no two ways about that. We're going to get to the rest of the injury report here in a minute. But let's really kind of key in on Jordan for a second. Matt Schneidman tweeted this out and said, Jordan Love spoke with reporters and said he's given himself the week, but hopeful to play Sunday against the Titans. Let's go around the horn with that real quick, because he's not going to come out and say that. This isn't Matt LaFleur coach speak here. This is QB1 saying, look, I'm hopeful to play Sunday versus the Titans, right? I think there's a legit shot, unless, of course, that thing flares up on him and he has any kind of setback. What do you think, Tim? What do you think the chances are Jordan plays this Sunday, man?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
No, that's kind of the vibe. I see Tupac LaFleur in full effect today at the pressers, which was great.
Hey, since you brought that up, we'll hit that first, but go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, no, that was phenomenal. I love his answers. Read it how you want to read it or whatever he said. It was great. But no, I think we all know that it's public knowledge now that Jay Money almost played against the Colts, right? We were up until, Friday or Saturday, whatever that was, we just talked about. And so we know that there was a chance that he was going to play in the home opener. So that being said, I feel really good about the road trip down to Nashville and, Jay Money making his return against the Titans. Now, if it were up to me, especially based on what we saw on Sunday against the Colts, I would start Malik Willis again. And I would let Jay Money get that extra week and be ready for a huge divisional matchup against the Minnesota Vikings and make sure we take care of that divisional game, because for as much smack as we talk about the Vikings, they got themselves a team, and they're playing good ball right now, and we cannot take that matchup for granted. So if it was my call, I'd let Malik Willis, run out there again. And I think we can steal a win on the road in Nashville. I really do. And give Jay Money another week of rest, come back home against the Vikings and get it done. Keep this win streak going. But that's just my opinion.
Michael, what about you?
I mean, I can't help but agree with Tim basically to about 80% of that. However, if Love comes out and he just is ready, I mean, if we're just being extra precautionary because we don't want to, mess up the future. I mean, I understand that obviously with a franchise quarterback, you don't ever want to shoot yourself in the foot kind of thing. That being said, I mean, I would love to see Jordan Love play this game. But like Tim said, man, I want to toot a little bit of my own horn. I said the Vikings could be dangerous to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold could end up turning out to have the best situation he's ever had in his career. He's surrounded by weapons. I think, unfortunately, we're seeing that come to fruition, and I would rather have a 100% or as close to 100% Jordan Love going into that game versus anything we're going to do with the Titans. I think that Malik Willis could definitely get us another win. I think Malik Willis is going to be one heck of a backup quarterback for us hopefully for some time. And that being said, I think if anything, I'd like to see what more in the bag he can get, because we saw as the game progressed that LaFleur slowly maybe started trusting him a little more. Maybe he started trusting his flow a little bit more. And we talked about that quarterback rotation, and we all had our own opinions on obviously everything from the Jordan Love contract stuff. And then we started talking about the backups, and obviously with Pratt and the way that ended up. To be where we are after all of that kind of quarterback carousel, I think we're in a pretty darn good position, but that's just me.
I agree, man. And the big thing that Malik Willis impressed me with was, hey, I'm going to play within the system. I'm going to play within the scheme and the game plan, protecting the football even when there's puke on the ball. And that's a lot. It really does. The fact that he didn't throw that third down pass, I'm just telling you right now, man, it's huge. It's absolutely huge that he was like, crap. We know what the game plan is. I can't risk this. Let me just run over here for a 3-yard gain, get chewed out by the coach temporarily, and explain to him, hey, Josh, we're out the ball. You know what I mean?
Hey, do you think Josh said
cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Right before he puked all over the ball, or?
I'll tell you this, boys. There was a lot of puking going on Sunday. There's going to be more this Sunday. Now I'll explain why. In this tweet I put Green Bay Packers head coach Matt LaFleur was asked about Jordan Love's participation in practice today. He also mentioned Josh Jacobs is getting extra rest and the extreme weather conditions they're going to be facing in Nashville. The latest game time forecast is 94 degrees. Ooh. It's temperature. That's not heat index. So here's what Coach LaFleur had to say. This is about 2 minutes and 34 seconds long. I'll pause it in between. We'll get his take. But I like LaFleur's approach here. I know some people, it kind of rub them the wrong way. Here's the thing. The coaches and the players have to meet with the media. The coaches have to declare injuries. You can't hide injuries. If you do, that's why people lose draft picks, people get fined, all that stuff. For betting purposes, to have the gambling world be as even as possible, you can't withhold information. So what LaFleur is doing here is giving the absolute minimum amount of information when he's saying limited. It's not that he hates Bill Hubert. It's not that he hates any of the other media members. His goal here is, listen, I need to give out as little information as possible. Here's what Coach LaFleur had to say when he was asked about the injuries.
Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, Jordan Love, Josh Myers, Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker. The guys that were out were Elton Jenkins, Jordan Morgan, Jaden Reed, and Carrington Valentine.
So what was Jordan able to do for you today?
He was limited, Bill.
Was he able to do team?
He was limited.
Jeez.
So yes or no on team?
He was limited.
Tupac
He
LaFleur?
was limited. Take that however you want.
And regardless of how limited he may or may not have been, what does it mean to have him out there?
Yeah, I think it's always great to have your quarterback out there, but we'll see how he progresses throughout the course of the week.
And obviously, Malik needs reps if he's going to play. Just how new he is.
Sound nervous they are.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking you how many reps Jordan took, but how do you get two guys potentially ready, especially one that needs
Sit your butt outside. That's always a challenge, and so I think throughout the course of the week, hopefully you get a better indication, and that kind of leads to some of the decisions that you have to make.
Is Jacobs okay? Did you just work him so extensively?
So he's asking about Josh Jacobs now. This is important information.
Needed a little time, or
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I'm not concerned about him. He said he felt great after the game. It's just, it's the life of a running back, I would say, in this league, especially when you get 30-plus carries in a game.
How did, overall the kind of condition where the guy's in after the hot game. And, keep it.
I definitely feel like there was some wear and tear. I mean, obviously, when you look at the injury list, that represents that as well. But those guys that are not on the injury list also are fatigued, and so we made some adjustments to our practice schedule.
And
And we know it's going to be another physical game this weekend. It's going to be hot. They're a very physical football team, so we got to make sure recovery's at the forefront of what we need to do.
So basically, we need to make sure that the ball stays nice and dry this Sunday. That's going to be the goal here, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, man, what was it, Tim? 86 degrees in Green Bay last
and
Sunday.
humid. It was humid too.
94 with that Nashville humidity. Now, we might luck up when you get kind of early fall down here in Tennessee. Sometimes the air gets a little drier. I know here in Northeast Tennessee, it's fairly dry right now. But if that humidity hits, you're looking at 100 degrees on the field heat index.
Hold on, we got breaking news. Matt LaFleur with the game plan.
No block, no rock.
There it is, right there. That's the game plan.
That's all that matters, really. I mean, let's be honest. So obviously, he's withholding information as much as possible, just like he did last week. I don't understand the people that get upset over that. The reporters, like, you've got to understand where he's coming from. Imagine it'd be like this. It'd be like somebody going to a reporter and saying, "Hey, I heard you're working on a story, right? It's going to release in 2 days. What's in the story? Tell me everything that's in the story."
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to do that because that's not how their business works.
Yeah.
And it irks me a little bit. And this isn't Bill Huber. Bill Huber handled it like a damn pro. Bill Huber is awesome. But the people that get irked over it and they get their feelings hurt and everything, it's like, put yourself in his shoes. He's having to answer the same question 30,000 times. And then you're upset that he's not giving information that's going to hurt his team. Like, I get it, dude. I'm glad he's so steadfast, to be honest with you. I am. So let's do this now. Let's kind of shift gears.
Real quick, could we just take a minute to appreciate what Tupac LaFleur looks like now to aw shucks Matt LaFleur and his first few press conferences where he walked up there? That dude was gripping nails into the podium. He's sweating. He's looking real good. Eyebrows on fleek.
Can we take a minute to appreciate the fact that Tupac LaFleur has fully taken hold? I said that about a year ago. I think when Aw Shucks Matt first started dealing with the Joe Barry slander and started getting a little chippy, I called him Tupac LaFleur, and we had the meme, of course, with the bandana. I think that was from Omer or one of the
Omer, Smitty, or somebody, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was Prince.
It could have been Prince. Yep. So, but now here we are a year and a half later, and it's full Tupac LaFleur. We're running with that. The name has stuck. I'm going to call him that next time I see him at 1265. I'm going to say, "What's up, Tupac?"
So this tweet right here came out from John Miller at NBC 26. This is the clip I like. The tight ends came up to Jordan, and it looks like, I'm just kind of reading between the lines here, but it looks like Sean Clifford is introducing Jordan Love to the tight ends like they've never met before. Check it out. Are they going to shake hands? Like, yeah, it's like he's been gone for so long. Look at Malik Willis and Sean Clifford already got that chemistry. I love it. Sean Clifford, dude, is such an important person on this team. Like, he brings that looseness. I guarantee you the number one person outside of the coaching staff that helped Malik Willis get ready for last week was Sean Clifford. No doubt about it. I'm sure Jordan helped too, but Sean Clifford, knowing how to run a scout team and knowing what the other team's looking to accomplish and just giving little tidbits on the scheme, because the reality is outside of Jordan Love, Sean Clifford probably knows this system more than anybody that's on the roster right now. The quarterbacks always know more than just about anybody. So I thought that was cool. Now, again, with the practice clips here, to me, and again, this is not there's never full contact in practice, obviously. This isn't 11 on 11, but I see no limitation there. I don't know about you guys. There's nothing that seems like he's hobbling. It doesn't seem like he's down in his spirits. To me, he seems like he's completely healthy. I hope that's the case. So,
yeah.
We'll move on to another practice shot here real quick. I just want to get these out of the way because I compiled a bunch of them. This is our guy, Bill Huber, one of my favorite follows on Twitter. No Jaden Reed, Jordan Morgan, or Elton Jenkins for the Packers today. Valentine went through stretch, but stayed inside. This guy is back, though. And then obviously here's Jordan taking a couple snaps on the row. Got the sleeve on the leg. You see it there, right? Looks fine, though. Again, this isn't nothing crazy strenuous, but my man looks good to go. If he doesn't have setbacks, I'm expecting him to play, man.
I was just going to say, seeing that right there, little rollout, he looks he doesn't look like he's favoring it or anything. He looks like he's going to be fine. I'm changing my opinion. I think he's probably going to go on Sunday. I wouldn't mind seeing Malik Willis again, though. Honestly, I've got the utmost faith in our backup now. And you bring up a great point too. I mean, worst comes to worst, even if we were down to, Clifford the Big Red Dog, I think we'd be all right, honestly. So, may the healthiest quarterback start on Sunday. I guess is it cool.
Is it crazy to say you guys are obviously much more versed in the mechanics and stuff? It doesn't seem like that's his plant leg, right? Like the predominant of his throws are going to be on his healthier right leg, and he's going to use that left leg to kind of just kick it out, as you see right here. And as Ron was talking about, it looks like he does have a little bit of a brace going on there.
Absolutely.
But it just doesn't look like that it's impeding him that much. Am I crazy? Or
this is like Rashawn Gary at camp last year, coming off that ACL, and he had the sleeve on the knee, and he was slowly but surely moving more and more. And then next thing we knew, he was back and 100%. And that's what it looks like with Jordan here. I think you're right, Jacob. Like, as far as him dropping back, I mean, really, it's that right leg that's, probably a little bit more of a focal point in a 3 or 5 step drop. But what I'm looking here is the RPO or the play action boots is, can he turn that corner? Does he have that mobility? And he looks like he's moving pretty well here. Now, granted, this is like, child's play. This is like half speed.
Right.
We're just dinking and dunking, going through the motions here at practice. This is what LaFleur was talking about when he said limited. That's probably all they let Jordan do today, was stuff like that. I'm sure he wasn't running super hard.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Jacob, in my opinion, the back leg is the drive leg. That's where you're generating all your power from, right? So that's the more important leg of the two. Now, if you're rolling right, as you've seen there, if anybody who's got a baseball pass or history, when you're rolling right, you're throwing off that right leg. When you let the ball go, whether it's baseball or football, your right foot is on the ground when you're throwing. When you're rolling left, that's a different story. So what you may see with the game plan, Matt LaFleur loves to run boot left. He loves it because against a right-handed quarterback, there's very few quarterbacks in the NFL that can roll left as a right-hander and throw back across their body with that arm strength. Jordan's one of the best in the league at it, at least the early samples that we've seen of him. So I think you'll probably see less boot left if he does play, and really hardly any limitations boot right, although they may tone back the bootleg and just let him. Here's the thing. If you implement Jordan into the game plan and have the same game plan that you had last week, right, that you have with Malik Willis, minus the quarterback draw, that's an upgrade over Malik Willis because of his understanding of the offense and being able to get to every protection, every play call, everything within the playbook. That's why, again, if the doctor says, "Hey, man, it's a risk if he goes this week," I don't want him playing.
Did we see Malik can out of anything on Sunday?
I don't remember seeing it one time.
I don't think I remember seeing that either. No.
So that's what you're talking about there, Clayton. Is like Jordan brings that factor of he can look at that secondary. Identify the mic, identify your safety, and then check out if you need to. And he learned that from Aaron Rodgers. So I think Malik Willis being the new kid on the block right now, you're a little limited in that fashion. If anything, you almost want to keep him limited as far as his ability to can out of plays, because he could can to the wrong play or the wrong read and get us in trouble.
Yeah. I will say, when you guys watched that game, was that not just the most odd experience to watch a game that I personally, in my opinion, I have never watched a Packer game like that, where it's just, we know we're going to run the ball and we're going to do it efficiently over and over and over. And even when you try to stop us, every now and then we'll have a quarterback that can come up. One thing I was going to ask you earlier, Clayton and Tim, like I said, you guys are very more well-versed in the mechanics of stuff. Am I crazy, or did it look like the handoff motion that Malik had? It wasn't a normal handoff motion. It was almost like like Matt LaFleur was doing some sort of delayed, almost like a half wishbone or a half option, where he would give the option of running.
Absolutely.
Every single play.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of zone read looks, although you can tell Malik wasn't planning on running out of that zone read. Right. It was just, but when you give, and Brian Balaga did a great job talking about this on Wildy and Tausch earlier. When you give that illusion, whether you're going to do it or not, and he talked about like Aaron Rodgers in 2014 with the bum calf, right, where his calf was just trashed. You could run that read option, and they're not going to bite on the quarterback keep at all. They're not. But when you've got a mobile quarterback like Malik and you put that ball in the belly of the running back and you look at those backers, they have to respect that. They have to honor the fact that, hey, that quarterback may pull that ball and go. And that really does freeze the linebackers. It gives you a half a step on every play. And what Matt LaFleur did really good was played with a half a gap, and Balaga talked about that. He played with a half a gap advantage, what I would refer to as a half a hat, all day long with the scheme. Like one play that stood out to me was I think we were nub right, and the play where Tucker Kraft on that side was singled up on a block with a corner. Like that is playing with the house's money right there. And Tucker Kraft was just an absolutely excellent block there. But yeah, I think you've seen a lot of that, Jacob, and it was by design. Even though Malik wasn't planning on keeping that in the read option, they had to respect it. There's no doubt about it. We got a couple more clips here. This is from Rob Domofsky. This right here, look, that's the one to the left I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Now, that's when you start seeing that stuff, it's like, okay, they're really testing it right here. Let's watch it again. Right? Look at all that. See how right there.
Oh, yeah.
When you pivot, you got to pivot on that leg. That scares me. But they wouldn't have him out there if he wasn't, healthy enough.
You got to test it, like you said. And now's the time. If you're going to have a setback, have it now. Have it this point of the week. Let's not have this on Friday, or Thursday, even tomorrow, So it's good to see him on the practice field again. That's the be all end all is he's practicing, albeit limited. I mean, we got a lot of guys that are limited right now and that are probably going to play. So just happy to see Jay Money back out there.
Yeah.
Look at him right there. Come on. Look at that boy.
Looks good, dude.
That's the new dance. That's called the Jay Money Shuffle right there. I like that.
I like
now,
that.
The reason the Packers are so cautious, too, is because, listen, we know who Jordan Love is. That dude wants to play. There's no two ways about it. They've got to protect him. So he's going to tell them, hey, I'm good. They got to test it. They probably got him off to the side back in that little medical corner that everybody talks about at the indoor facility. And they probably bent that thing every direction, looking for any wince, right? Because he's not going to tell them, hey, I don't really feel it. That's just not who Jay Love is. So shout out to Josh Bellanningham, gifting 5 memberships here on YouTube. Appreciate you, Josh. You are the man, brother. So, yeah, right here, he seems like he's in really good spirits, as you can see here, just kind of hopping around and everything. And people are going, man, y'all are really dissecting this. Yeah, because it's important. It is. We're going to look over this like the Zapruder film here. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it is. Now, we heard.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Zapruder was, actually. Abraham Zapruder. People are going, who the hell is that?
He was a dressmaker from Dallas, Texas, and he got one of the most infamous films of all time. We'll never see the original version of.
Don't ever get me started, Tim.
I was going to say, man. Exactly. So here was Jay Love. This was Matt Schneidman that tweeted this out. By the way, the last videos that came from Rob Domofsky. Matt Schneidman tweeted this out. What boxes does Jordan Love need to check off in order to play on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of boxes. Obviously, I think getting back to practice and doing that and just, feeling what it feels like to take those drops, being the live fire, things like that. But like I said, we're taking it day by day. The trainer's doing a great job kind of monitoring me, seeing how I'm doing and how I'm reacting to everything. And, they'll be the ones to clear me when the time comes. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of.
So there you
You're
go.
going to have to tell them boys to keep it down in the background when QB1 is speaking to the media, man.
Right?
Enough of that horseplay in the background. What the heck's going on?
Come on,
Keep
now.
it down. Grown-ups are talking, right? Grown-ups are talking. So, you got any star chat you want to hit on real quick, Jacob?
I do, yeah. We probably got to blow through a few of these here quick. 2-0 for this comes in saying if Malik starts, I really want him to throw the ball more. He was looking good. I think we talked about that. We talked about how Matt LaFleur he definitely had some training wheels on the guy, and that's completely justified. He had a game plan he knew that he wanted to do, and I think Malik Willis absolutely showed out. Would you guys like to see him throw the ball more? If he were to be the starter? I mean, do you feel comfortable with that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing, I believe Stenovich with what he said, too. It depends on what the defense is showing. That's what it comes down to, right? Because what they did in the first half, and everybody roasted them all day long. Let me give a shout-out real quick. Thank you so much, Bates. Give them 5 memberships to 5 lucky viewers/listeners here. Appreciate you, Bates. Thank you for supporting the show, man. You are awesome. So I think that they came out and everybody was like, why in the world did they not load the box in the first half? And that's why we ran the rock, and that's why they shut the run down in the second half, was because they started to load the box. And it's like, you should have come up with a bare front and said, we're going to make Malik Willis beat you. And if they did that, I think we would have threw the football. Now, you guys remember the Romeo Dobbs, Moss and the defender there that we showed on Chalk Talk yesterday? What was it? It was single covers. They were loading the box, single high, one-on-one on the outside, and we kind of broke it down. Did he mean to underthrow it on purpose? If so, great job. Did he underthrow it? Not mean to. That's a little bit troublesome if that's the case. Nonetheless, Romeo Dobbs went up and got it. But I think it's absolutely huge, man. I do. So go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Mr. R.E. Ironminer, Vikings are dangerous. NFL has parity. NFL North, brutal. I completely agree with that, man. We never, like I said, everybody thinks they're so smart going into the season. All of a sudden it happens, and you're like, oh, boy. All right. 2-0 for this again says, as long as sitting Love doesn't mean going rusty, basically, in the Minnesota game. That's a divisional game that we cannot take chances on. That was, I'd probably say, my biggest hindrance of if he is even, if he's 80, 90% and we're just worried about him not re-injuring it, I would have to think of more of what like he said, what the rust would do to that. What do you guys think about that going into I know it's my favorite game of the year because you guys know where I live, but
I think it's a very real thing, Tim. What do you think, man, about the rust? Sitting that long and not playing.
Yeah, I agree. But that's also something that Jay Money could probably shake off within a series, maybe a series or two, and be back to where he needs to be. However, that being said, I mean, looking at what we just saw from today and then seeing him at the locker room there, I would fully anticipate tomorrow we see him probably still limited, but they're pushing that limit a little further as we get closer to the weekend. And Jordan said himself, testing it, seeing how much you can push it, see where that pain threshold is, see what the bottom line is going to be going into this weekend. I think at the very least he plays against the Vikings, but I think he's going to play in Nashville. I do. I'm retracting my statement. I don't think he necessarily needs that rest, although it may be better safe than sorry kind of mentality. But like you said at the top, Clayton, if this guy's cleared and he's looking good, they're going to start him. I mean, this is every game counts in the season. You know that. We cannot afford to drop one. Not to say that we would if Malik Willis was our quarterback, but you got to have QB1 out there as much as possible. So I think he probably goes this weekend. And if he goes this weekend, he should play against the Vikings and have no rust. So we'll be all good.
If there's no setback, absolutely. Here's the other thing, too. I said that if we had lost to we just play the Colts. If we had lost to the Colts, maybe you get a little more aggressive with Jordan. Maybe you go into Tennessee, and I've said this. I think I'm the only person that's ever said this, and maybe everyone else thinks it's stupid. That's okay. You're probably all right. But what if you go in with the plan of starting Malik, you dress Jordan, right? See how the game goes. If you jump out to an early lead, you got everything under control. You got Jordan in the bullpen ready to come in if things get – and maybe you kind of handle this game the same way you did with the Colts. You control the turnover differential. By the way, Will Levis is giving out interceptions like damn Christmas presents, boys. Let's hope that continues, right? But if you go in with that approach, two things happen. If Jordan doesn't play, you knock off a little bit of the rust with him dressing, going through that pregame, that whole right? Because that is a routine that people – they just kind of scoff at and think, that ain't a big deal. It is a big deal, man. Going out there for warm-ups, being ready to go, being completely dressed out, being ready to go into any second. Also, Jordan there really involved with the game plan, which I'm sure he was last week too on the sideline. I didn't see too many.
You saw he had the earpiece in. He was engaged. I would use a baseball analogy, Clayton. My question would be, can a starting pitcher move to the bullpen and be a middle reliever or be a closer? And come in after sitting so long and then come in and just be able to fire on all cylinders. Obviously, Jordan's not that far removed from being a backup himself a couple of years ago. So he knows what, stay ready so you don't have to get ready means. I just wonder if do you think that in and of itself might throw off a little bit of rhythm? Him going through warm-ups, progression, game plan, and then it's like he goes to the bench and watches Malik. You know what I mean? I feel like that might be I wonder if that would throw him off at all.
And that does happen in October and November baseball when you get the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you get to a series where the series is winding down and your starter already started, he wasn't up today in the rotation. All right, bring in your ace out of the bullpen to kind of close out the series, and because you're going to get that extra rest. I know it's not a great comparison, but it does happen. But I know what you're saying too, Tim. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, he'll play just like he had, because sometimes it takes Jordan a little time to get lathered up in the game too, right?
Yep.
Like you'll see that he'll start kind of cold and then he gets hot in the second half. So that's a very real thing too, And again, if they have any setback at all, we probably won't hear about it. We probably won't. And what'll happen is come Friday, they'll just say, all right, let's sing him as out. That's what'll happen. So I think that's a very real chance there too. But no setbacks, everything goes as planned. It damn sure ain't going to be Jordan that takes himself out of the lineup. It'll have to be the doctors and obviously maybe Goody stepping in and saying, hey, look, let's don't press this. So
I mean, I was going to say that real quick just to reiterate, like Jordan Love is a gamer. What we've known about him, what we've seen with him through his whole career, even when he was an unsure quarterback where people didn't where they questioned his abilities and all this kind of stuff, the kid wasn't afraid to play. He's not afraid to throw the ball. You think that he's going to go into a game with a knee injury that possibly he could play through, knowing that he's going against the history of Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Bart Starr, guys that absolutely were freaking Ironmen, and that he's going to say, well, my knee. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to come back and he's going to try to play through the pain. And like y'all talked about, he's shown that he's already on his way to doing that. So in my opinion, if Jordan Love has any say and whether or not he's going to play in this game, which I don't know how much he does, I would almost bet the house money that he's going to play. That's what I'd say.
My knee.
Somebody posted a meme earlier and they said, live looking on Jordan's doctor, and it was Aaron in the doctor's coat. It was absolutely awesome. That's the guy you call and say, hey, what do I got to do to get through this MCL here?
I was going to say, whatever they just call that doctor, have him give him
that same doctor.
The old Aaron Rodgers.
The old perk game. Gotta love.
So Turtles says, I'm sure the low amount of throws had to do with him still learning the offense. I'm sure he's talking about Malik. He should start to be more comfortable now. I completely agree with that. And
he was 12 for 14 on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he threw the ball. It's just, I think.
He has one of the highest quarterback percentages in the league right now.
I think what people are saying is we'd like to see, some more 20, 25 yard plus shot play type of throws rather than the quick hitters. But I'll take it, man.
Yeah. And I've got it right here, actually. NFL stats, best passer rating in week 2. Number 1, Kyler Murray at 158.3. Second in the league, Malik Willis, 126.8. It's just wild. And again, it was only 12 throws, or how was it? 14 throws, 12 throws?
14, I believe.
Yeah. And here's what's crazy. One of those two, his adjusted percentage, they actually wiped one of those incompletions off. So his completion percentage was like in the 90s. So his adjusted completion percentage, I should say. So one of those wasn't even ruled his fault, which is crazy. So he was on, man. And it's amazing how people will kind of rise to the occasion when someone believes him. I've got some Patreon questions here we need to hammer out, Jacob. Is that cool if we go ahead and hit those, or do you got anything else you want to hit there, man?
Yeah, can I just blast through a couple of these real quick? So Turtle says, my friend's a Dolphins fan, says Chris Brooks, he's a guy we just signed on the practice squad. Matt LaFleur actually said, too, that he's really impressed with his running style. I looked him up. I'm kind of excited about his running style, man. He's exciting to watch. He's a guy that maybe if, God forbid, some injuries happen, if he ends up on this lineup, I'm telling you, dude, just keep an eye out. We got some backups coming in here.
Heard it from a fan right here.
No, go ahead, Paul. Paul B's just saying Tennessee D-line is no joke, though. That's true. I completely believe that. And then So Turtles once again said, I would sit him this week too, but I want the Willis revenge game.
I think everybody wants the Willis revenge game except for
other than Willis, right?
Other than Malik Willis. I don't think his brain even operates that way.
Did you hear his comment, Tim?
No, I didn't, but I can imagine it was humble as hell and exactly what you'd want a guy to say.
Yes.
It was awesome, Tim. He basically said, no, there's none of that. They gave me an opportunity this league, and I'm forever grateful for that. It's like, boy, you're a better man than me.
I'm telling you.
My attitude is like, are you going to give up on me? Woo! That's all I need. Somebody to doubt me, man. Just doubt me. I'm begging for it. It's awesome that he's so wise beyond his years. There's no two ways about it, man.
Yep.
So All right, let's hit some of these Patreon questions in our Patreon group. You guys can scan the QR code in the upper right if you're interested in joining that group. What we're going to do is take questions for the show here. Joshua Dodge in the questions for the show said, will we see much of Matt being in his bag against the Titans? And he said, if we do, and it leads to another victory, what happens when Love returns? I think many people were kind of a little worried about that. Let me see what else he went on to say. He said there seemed to have been a more intense display of his bag in the run game this past Sunday. Could we see some level of that staying when Love returns? If Love is a little limited, hey, lean it, press into that run, right? We've wanted it for a long time. Press into that run and take some of that off of Jordan as he kind of gets back into the flow. There's nothing wrong with that. And it will be much harder to run on the Tennessee Titans. We're going to talk about the rankings here in a second. I think it will be more difficult to run on the Titans than it was, obviously, the Colts, who is arguably the worst run defense in the league. But when people say, man, the Titans have a strong defensive front, they do. They don't have a better defensive front than Philadelphia. And
Right.
the Packers went toe-to-toe with Philly, right? That was a great measuring stick, I think, for the Packers. So
I agree 100%, Clayton. I think that's spot on. I think you lean on the run. You're on the road. You know what I mean? Like, and here's the thing. You don't even have to, Josh Jacobs doesn't need 10,000 yards and 500 carries again to get it done. We just need to, convince that Tennessee defense that we're willing to run the ball and we're going to run it effectively, whether that's, 2 and 3 yard gains, steadily moving the ball down the field and then mixing in that play action or whatever. It doesn't have to be big chunk runs, anything crazy like it had to be against the Colts. That was a team effort, and this will be a team effort. But I agree. I think that would be the approach with nearly any starting quarterback that's coming off of an injury would be to, hey, let's establish the run and see what we can, get off of that, Yeah.
And if I would have to bet, Clayton, you can tell me I'm wrong, but I lived in Nashville for about 4 or 5 years. The Tennessee Titans never have a home game. Sorry, guys. There's just, especially when you're playing the Packers, you're going to have just as many Packer fans there / random just drunk people that just want to watch football. And so the Packers could utilize that a little bit and not have to worry so much. This isn't quite, again, almost like the Eagles game. It's not quite I'm not calling this a road game, dude. I'm calling this like a tweener game. Yeah. I guarantee you might see more Packer fans at this game than Titans.
I'll give you an example of that. We've got 2 extra tickets, some of the best seats in the house, got access to a private club area where basically if it gets too hot, we can go in there and sit watching on the TV. It's almost like a mini atrium at Lambeau, but it overlooks the field. Really cool. I think what we're going to do, though, I'm going to reach out to a local Boys and Girls Club in Nashville and say, hey, do y'all have anybody that could chaperone for a kid? You got a kid that's kind of underprivileged that would like to go to a Titans game and give it to them, Now, they're going to have to get used to me screaming in their ear. That's the problem they're going to deal with. But we'll do something for the kiddies there if we don't find a taker for that ticket. But Nebraska Rev, another question here, says, hi, Clayton. Thanks for all your work. Well, I got him tricked. No, I truly appreciate your solo shows. I love the guys, but I learn more when you're solo. Is there any reason you can
get out of here, Tim?
Sit your butt outside.
Is there any reason that you can see that it's so hard to get a completion to Christian Watson? I found a stat on RotoWire that gives yards per snap for receivers. Watson is 0.71, Reed 1.26, Dobbs is 1.29. Why is it so hard to get him the ball? I think what you're seeing, Rev, I think Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love and just everyone in general on the Packers offensive staff learned from their mistake last year. If you go back and watch the first quarter of the season last year, one of the reasons that Jordan struggled is he was trying to force the ball to Christian Watson over and over. And there were bad throws. People were blaming Christian. Christian was getting raked over the coals. They were horribly accurate throws like that. It was so bad. We showed it over and over and over. Under throws that were getting picked. Well, Watson needs to do a double back tuck and break that ball up. It's like, what the hell are we talking about? It's a bad throw. So I think they were pressing too much. I think they learned from their mistake, and you're seeing kind of the fruits of the labor here. Like you go into this year and go, look, we're going to just play within the scheme. We're not going to try to force the ball to Christian. I think his opportunities will come. To the best of my knowledge, he doesn't have a drop yet. Now, he hasn't been targeted a whole lot. Like some people were saying in the back of the end zone there against Philly that was on him. That was not on him. That was a bad throw. That throw was overthrown. And the announcer said he slipped. He didn't slip. On that play.
That was a bad throw.
Now, when I say
his receiving, it's tough.
is, Brett. When I say bad throw, it was a safe throw. It was where only Christian could get it, if anyone, and it wasn't going to be picked. So I don't really fault Jordan for the way he threw that ball. But, yeah, I think he'll be fine. I do, Rev. Here's the thing that I really like. We showed it, didn't we, on Chalk Talk, Tim? How many times do we see Christian Watson getting up there and run blocking, bro? Like he was such a self.
Did y'all know that, if I'm not mistaken, you can fact check me in the chat here, but as far as I saw today, out of 40 minimum snaps right now, he is the third highest blocking wide receiver in the NFL, guys. You can't tell me that Christian Watson is not making an impact, and a freaking drastic one on this team. That tells you that he is so humble, he is so team-based, and he knows that what his skill set is, that's how he helps us win in a game where we don't have our starting quarterback, and he has to do that.
That's everybody on that team. And if they're not seeing the field. If they're not bought in, we're not seeing them play. You know, this is guys that are playing for each other. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? If Scoot's not blocking, he's running go routes and dragging that help away from where we're trying to go. Matt LaFleur is an absolute master at scheming guys open. And I think it's just a matter of time before we see Scoot get a little more targets, you know. Yeah. Even some of the routes, they're sending him on, over the middle a lot, you know, especially against man, dragging a man away and, freeing up stuff underneath, that kind of thing. So he's drawing attention, and whether or not he's getting targets or not, he's contributing to this offense in more ways than one, for sure.
Coach Lynn on the same page there. Have you seen Watson blocking? He is fine. That will set up deep passes later this year, guaranteed. Here's the thing, too. That's not a shot at Nebraska, Rev. What he's saying there is accurate. Those numbers are true, right? So I think it's a great question, Rev, but really key in on what he's doing in the other aspects of the game. I know you're not roasting him. You're just simply asking, like, hey, why are we not being able to get him more touches? And I completely understand. I think, again, I go back to the first quarter of last season. That's my answer. It's like I think they learned from that experience, and they're going to be more efficient here early on, get off to a little bit better start. Murph in the Patreon group says, what do you think the general fan expectations for Narvison? Field goal percentage, extra points percentage, etc. Man, I tell you, it's tough, Murph, because you basically got like 5 to 7 kickers that are just lights out. Now, arguably the best kicker in the league struggling right now in our boy Justin Tucker. So you don't hear anybody hollering for him to get cut, right? So to me, it feels like if you're 80% or higher, you're kind of okay. There's the majority of the league is kind of in that range, it feels like, and I could be wrong this year. I haven't really looked at it because I'm a little burnout on kicker talk. I ain't gonna lie. But we really hit it in the training camp, no doubt about it, giving updates every day. And neither of those guys are on made the, you know what I mean? We got a different kicker. It's hilarious. We wasted all that time talking about those two guys. But I kind of feel like it's kind of par for the course, man. They're looking to catch lightning in a bottle with Narvison. I personally like Narvison better than the other two kickers we have. I feel like his kicks have looked more consistent. I know he pushed that one right, but if you're telling me our kicker can hit 3 or 4 kicks and hit both extra points, so essentially an extra point is not a give me anymore, guys, right? Like it's the way it's pushed back with the new rules. So people say, he went 3 for 4. I really think he went 5 for 6 is the way I see it with those extra points. So I don't know. Again, you compare it across the league, his numbers aren't quite as good as those top tier guys, obviously, but I'm not too concerned with it. But your question was, what are the fans' expectations? I think a certain portion of the fan expectation is always, we better have the best damn kicker in the league or we're not doing it.
Well, yeah. I mean, those guys are in Baltimore and in Houston right now. Fairbairn in Houston is lights out as well. And I think even he had a miss this weekend as well. So if you're expecting perfection, you're going to be disappointed because they all miss. It happens. It's part of the game. And as far as what to expect from Narvison, I would just, look at Anders Carlson's season last year. I think that's how we're going to approach this. We're going to keep sending him out there. We're going to believe in him. We're going to give him a chance to make these kicks. He's going to have some bumps in the road, and we're going to stick with him because, quite frankly, we don't have any other options right now, and we can't keep playing musical chairs at that position. We need to get some consistency, especially if we're going to make a push into the playoffs. So I fully expect Braden to have his kicking game on point by the middle part towards the end of the season. I think we just got to be patient with him.
Yeah, Prince in the chat says, "Thank God for the return of kicker talk. Put it straight into my veins." With that being said, that's the end of hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side. for hour 2. Appreciate y'all.